No, that was him said that.
Who said? Oh, God, he was right behind me. Okay. Our lights are not on.
Oh,
Dan,
hit the
could you
switches.
do whatever it is that you do? Oh, I have better. All right. I usually depend on somebody else to tell me when to go.
58.
That's right.
58.
Okay. I don't think it's going to be a long meeting, but that's usually a
Oh,
kiss
not
of
at all.
death to say that.
Not at all.
I
You know.
know.
Well, I guess I got some good news so far. None of my dress shirts fit.
They're getting bigger.
Yeah.
Oh, good for you, because I got the other thing going. I actually have my closet now, really large and medium large.
Got up, had my shirt all ironed and everything else. Put it on. I looked myself in the mirror. I said, I can't wear this.
59.
Okay, we're going to start up any second now. Go. Hey. This meeting is called to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we've got, we're short of people today, but they're all excused that are not here. Deputy Clerk, could you call the roll?
Trustee Kelly.
Here.
Trustee Boynton. Trustee Martin. Supervisor McNamara.
Here.
Treasurer Bud, Clerk Wright, and Trustee Frazier are all excused.
Knows stuff's going around and it's hit us. So, all right. First item is the executive summary of what we're doing today. We're not doing a lot, but I mean, we've got a consent agenda that we always have, which is basically we're paying our bills, we're paying our heat and electric. We also have some reappointments of Charles Coleman, Kimberly Knopfs, Todd O'Neill, and Tammy Wall to the Recreation Committee. They've served us well. They're building the Civic Center, and we're glad that they're coming back. We have a new appointment today of Jessica Thomas to the DDA. We're excited to have her. She's from the hotels there on I-84, and they've done a lot of work with the community over the years and have helped us out a lot. Her term will expire March 9th of 2026. We have new business today, only one thing. It includes a discussion on a report by the Planning Commission. Every year we do it. It's also some public engagement activities for 2023, along with a report on the public participation and master plan implementation that is being done by our Planning Commission today. That's it. Can I get a motion to adopt the agenda?
To the chair.
Mr. Martin?
We adopt the agenda as presented.
Ryan Kelly. I have a motion by Trustee Martin, supported by Trustee Kelly. Hearing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? This motion passes. Mr. Boynton, could you please make the motion on the adoption of the consent agenda?
Sure. I so move that we adopt the consent agenda, which comprises of the following: board meeting minutes of December 19th, the prepaid list of December 21st, both of 2023, prepaid list of January 4th and January 11th, both of, and the voucher list of January 16th, all of 2024. Reappointment of Charles Coleman, Kimberly Knopfs, Todd O'Neill, and Tammy Wall to the Recreation Committee, and the appointment of Jessica Thomas to the Downtown Development Authority Board to fulfill the remainder of the vacant term expiring March 9th, 2026.
Can I get a second on that motion?
Support.
Kelly? All right, I have a motion by trustee Boynton. I have support by trustee Kelly. Hearing no further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? This motion passes. We move now to public hearing, which we have no public hearing. We're now into correspondence, announcements, and presentations. Primarily, trustee Martin or Boynton, I thought you guys might want to say something about Martin Luther King Day since it's just passed over, and I know it's probably the most dynamic figure for civil rights in the last, or in the 20th century for sure. But did you want to make a comment?
To the chair, I would like to make a comment. And as you know, Martin Luther King Jr. was a phenomenal human being, and his quest for human and civil rights for everyone. And going forward, I would like to see Van Buren Township do some type of thing next year in commemoration of Dr. Martin Luther King. I see a lot of other communities are doing things, and I think it's time that we step up and do our own commemoration.
Okay. Anybody else? All right. I would like to make notice that we have a guest today, Bart Patterson, the treasurer from the Township of Sumter, and we're very happy to have you here, and we hope we, I don't know, everything goes well. We wish nothing but the best for Sumter. As goes Sumter, so do we, so we're all together in this boat. Mary, could you introduce our newest DDA member?
Thank you, Board. Good evening, and thank you for your appointment of Jessica Thomas.
Hello, everyone. Nice to meet you all and see everyone again.
Could you come by and let us shake your hand? We probably won't get to see you again for many years. Not in this room. Thank you very much for everything you've done for the community. Yeah. Oh. You got to get over here so we can get in on it too. You guys want to go up front? You want us to go up front? Let's go up front.
Thank you, sir.
Very much for everything. I mean, I called you guys a lot. Thank you very much. So when we had the, God was the name of that, the theater group that came here from Montana to do the children's plays, part of the deal was we had to, Belleville Area Council of the Arts had to come up with a hotel rooms for those people to stay in. And thanks to your group, they donated the hotel rooms. So it was, that's some of the things they did. They also provided for, when the MIG went down, they have plenty of rooms in case we had any more that we needed to put anywhere. So, all right. Public comment. Is there anybody from the public that wishes to make comment today? No? Anybody from the board? All right, unfinished business, we have none. New business, discussion on to consider approval of the report of Planning Commission and public engagement activities. Is this something that we have to make a motion on?
I believe you usually do.
Okay. Would somebody like to make a motion on this before we start?
Through the chair,
Kelly?
I move to consider approval of the report of Planning Commission and public engagement activities for 2023 as required by the Michigan Planning Act, along with a report on public participation and master plan implementation activities by the Planning Commission.
Thank you.
Support.
Thank you, Mr. Boynton. All right. Director Powers?
Okay, thank you, board. I put this in more of a broken down format this year, so hopefully we'll go through things quickly, but feel free to reach out if you have, or ask me if you have any questions. As the supervisor said, this is a report on activities of the Planning Commission, but also specifically speaking to some of the public engagement that our Planning Commission is involved with, as well as our Board of Trustees, and some of the progress toward implementing our 2020 master plan. Just this is a lot of breakdown of kind of the Planning Commission's role in the township. The Planning Commission kind of steers long-term planning through the implementation of the master plan. They develop and refine and adjust the zoning ordinance to meet the master plan. They develop a future land use map, which identifies how the township will evolve over the next 20 years, which also includes some recommendations on zoning that get revisited and guide rezonings and other zoning decisions in the township. You can see an example of a rezoning project on the lower left that corresponds to a planned land use on the upper right image there. And then down to kind of the bread and butter, what you see at a lot of the Planning Commission agendas is the development site plan reviews. So the Planning Commission is there to give a thorough review of everything that gets built in the township, particularly in the private sector, and make sure that it meets the quality standards of the township. The Planning Commission also looks at permit applications for tree removals, temporary land uses, and other initiatives. As far as what we staff do and our consultants and our inspectors, there's actually a significant team behind what happens in building and planning every day. And we review administratively kind of in the office, the changes of use at existing sites, interior renovations, residential construction at a single residential lot scale, authorizations of certain activities on the lake, and routine permits and inspections. And of course, we make recommendations to the Planning Commission and the Board of Trustees and the BZA, but the Planning Commission drives a lot of the really in-depth site plan review processes. So along with those vital functions for the township, the Planning Commission has a very significant public role. They are there to hear public comment on all of these different activities and to continue to drive public engagement in the long-term planning process for the township. So in 2023, there were 21 regular meetings of the Planning Commission, which largely address the things I mentioned here, the planning initiatives, the zoning ordinance text amendments, the site plans. But there were also some special meetings. There were 4 special meetings or workshops with the Planning Commission. On June 8th, the Planning Commission held a workshop with alongside the Board of Trustees. Many of you were there to review the proposed economic development strategy and marketing plan for the township, or I guess to help build those plans for the township as part of Redevelopment Ready Communities or RRC certification. That same night, there was a training on what we call missing middle housing, which is to address a lot of the housing needs throughout the township. And so that was another meeting. And right after that, the first one, there was a special meeting on November 28th to review a specific site plan amendment for the Hampton Manor project. And then on December 6th, there was a long-awaited special tri-communities joint meeting with the city of Belleville and Sumter Township. We were grateful to have a lot of representation from those 3 different municipalities at that meeting. So the Planning Commission helped to steer all of these efforts really alongside you on the board. There were also 10 public hearings offered in both virtual and in-person format, largely around specific development requests or rezonings. And there were 7 sets of postcard mailings to 186 property owners or occupants in the township. And there were also emailed and written comments that were shared with planning commissioners. The township, you might recall, in 2018 adopted a public participation plan, which offers, in addition to these kind of standard formats for public participation, kind of carves out other more creative means to gather public participation. And we sometimes encourage people on the development side to promote using these as an effort to get some preliminary feedback, like workshops or open houses for specific projects, but also things like charrettes or open house meetings where you can have some additional public participation at kind of a deeper level. So there's a plan in place that allows for some more advanced public input. And I know our community services group also has used many of those efforts with their workshops in the last few years. As far as actions taken by the Planning Commission, there were 4 preliminary site plans approved 7 final site plans approved, 6 combined preliminary and final site plans, which when you get a combined preliminary and final site plan like that, that's usually means that there isn't a significant amount of advanced engineering that has to occur. The engineering can often come in at the same time as the rest of the site plan, and it can all be reviewed in one step together. There's one approval of a final version of a planned residential development, the Cobblestone Creek attached condo project in the south part of the township, and 7 amendments to previously approved site plans, including some architectural modifications to some homes, as well as a senior housing project. There were 3 special land use recommendations that were recommended by the Planning Commission and sent to the Board of Trustees, and you've reviewed all of those and approved all of them. And then temporary land use applications, there were 6 of these, and those include things like firework tents in the summer. There was a temporary land use involving some windshield repair. So there were 6 of those types of approvals in 2023. There were also 3 rezoning recommendations and 2 zoning ordinance text amendments that the board ended up adopting. One was specific to housing and allowing for slightly taller housing than we had traditionally had in the township, raising from 2 stories to 2.5 stories, or 30 feet to 35 feet, as well as an amendment to increase flexibility with childcare that's provided in a single-family residence. So those 2 zoning ordinance amendments were adopted, and there were also 8 discussions on zoning ordinance text amendments. We also had the start of 2 very important zoning ordinance subcommittees to address amendments to our zoning ordinance to look at specifically electric vehicle chargers, charging stations and infrastructure. That's still an ongoing effort, as well as agricultural tourism or agritourism in Van Buren Township, kind of trying to develop longer-term ordinance recommendations for agritourism, being as we are there's a very important agricultural sector to the township. There's some other miscellaneous activities the Planning Commission completed. 1 tree removal permit, 2 discussions of cases that were going to go before the Board of Zoning Appeals, 2 extensions of previous site plans, 3 updates on administratively reviewed projects, a new set of bylaws, and 10 other discussion items in 2023. So it was a very busy year. I'll just point out some of the significant industrial development projects. We have the roughly 660,000 square foot building 6 at the Crossroads North Distribution Center, Crossroads North Business Park, where our Next Energy is building out that building as we speak. We also have JSB Builders. They've broken ground on a 16,000 square foot multi-tenant industrial site on Schooner Drive. In the commercial side, we've had the Kenworth dealership. Camping World is moving. They're incrementally moving through their rebuild of that site. And then we also had the Meyer renovation, where we had kind of the facelift of Meyer and the redevelopment of the Meyer parking area and the gas station. As far as residential, there's been a lot of movement on what's called the Townsend Park project. It was formerly the Victoria Estates project, east of Morton Taylor Road and north of Ecorse Road. That site's getting pretty significantly built out by Infinity Homes. And we're also seeing kind of the completion of the infrastructure for the 3rd phase of construction in what's called Cobblestone Creek down south of West Huron River Drive off of Heft Road. That's going to be built out by Bogie Builders as well as MI Homes of Michigan. So 60 some odd units in each of these development sites, and some new architectural models will be included there as well. We've just received a batch of new home permits for the one on the right by MI Homes of Michigan, so that's an exciting development. And then, of course, here on campus, we've had the expansion of the community center that is moving along very well as the Hampton Manor Senior Housing Project. And over on the right, this is a photo that was taken in November of the progress on the Clover Senior Housing Project, which is the 128-unit senior apartments off of the west side of Belleville Road, across from Robson Road. The report also calls for acknowledgement of master plan activities. There are some things in the 2020 master plan that we're kind of continually looking at and feeding into some of the recommendations on projects throughout the township. But one item that was focused on was specific to a recommendation from the master plan that encouraged the development of new housing and missing middle formats and or layouts that are currently absent or in short supply by creating zoning districts and design standards as necessary in the appropriate areas of the township. We took in a lot of feedback at the June 8th training on missing middle housing, and our planning consultant with McKenna is looking into that at a deeper level now. And we also proceeded with a zoning ordinance text amendment that did increase some of the flexibility and increase the new housing format for the R1 zoning districts. And so we are trying to monitor and keep moving along through the recommendations of that 2020 master plan. By state law, we'll revisit that plan in 2025. You revisit your comprehensive plan every 5 years, or your master plan every 5 years. So we may see that as an opportunity to refine some of the recommendations and move forward with some new ideas in 2025. Just as a reminder, you can keep tabs on development and planning in Van Buren Township by going to the home page of the website and clicking on Development and Planning Portal. You'll see a relatively current status of our projects, and I lost the screen. But you'll see kind of the status of development projects throughout the township represented as points on the map. Those green ones are under construction. Yellow is kind of pre-construction phase. Red is still in that planning commission review process or pre-construction review process. And then we have an interactive zoning map and an interactive future land use map that you can kind of click on and learn more about planning and zoning in the township. But by and large, 2023 was a very busy and successful year for the Planning Commission. I appreciate all their hard work and your work on the board. So I'm happy to answer any questions about the Planning Commission activities.
I'm shocked that we don't have any questions. And the public probably doesn't know this, but we have a lot of zoning planning people up here. Trustee Kelly, past chairman of the Planning Commission, and trained to death on it. I think, are you a certified planner too?
The
Master planner?
citizen.
Trustee Boynton's a certified citizen master planner who was on the Planning Commission. Trustee Martin has been taking a lot of classes, and he is our representative to the Board of Zoning Appeals, which is kind of like the Supreme Court to zoning boards. And you're also a citizen planner? I did not know that. Okay. So, fire away. Any questions?
I have no questions. Amazing job. The Planning Commission and BZA has been doing a great job.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to say, great report, fantastic report, and I knew we were busy. I didn't know we were quite that busy, but just a sign of the times of what's coming for Van Buren Township.
Okay. I do know he's working very hard because I come in on weekends and he's here.
Yes, he is.
I wish he wasn't so much. Gonna hear from your wife one of these days.
Maybe not weekends.
All right. All right, so I have a motion, I believe, by Trustee Kelly and supported by Trustee Boynton. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? This motion passes. We'll move along, and we have no reports today, so we'll go to public comment for non-agenda items. Is there anybody from the public that wishes to speak at the meeting? Is there anybody online that wishes to speak at the meeting?
We do have an online participant, but she's
Okay.
not going to make any comments.
All right.
Thank you, Supervisor.
Board comments? Okay, so is there anybody from the board that wishes to make comment?
Not here.
No. I will make a little comment. We are working with Detroit Wayne Integrated Health Network. As you know, we have a social worker that is now ingrained into our police department, and we're sharing that cost with Romulus and Wayne, and then we got a grant to pay for the whole thing. But we really want to someday be able to get emergency vans that if we have a cop that's out there, who's got a person that needs to be stabilized, that we're not taking this person to the hospital or to jail, they just need some help. We are working on a deal right now, and we're very close to having it done, where we're gonna be able to have emergency vans that will actually be able to come out to the household with a social worker and a crisis intervention person, trainee, and help them out to get, so we don't have to hospitalize or throw them in jail. We had 360 calls last year for mental health. And we're just trying to do what we can to lower that number. It's a lot of strain on our resources, and it's a strain on the families and the neighborhoods. So, but it's getting better. Anybody else want to make a comment? Okay, can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Mr. Boynton? Support. Mr. Kelly, I have motion for adjournment from Trustee Boynton, supported by Trustee Kelly. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. We're adjourned. Okay?